Welcome into this week's edition of Maverick Insider. It's a crazy time for the transfer portal in college football. I'm Rob Clark, alongside head coach of the Minnesota State football team, Todd Hoffner. Coach, what does this whole time of the season really look for you and your entire coaching staff?
Well, we ended our season about 4 weeks ago, so we're on day 32, day 33 of our new cycle, right? We go cycles of when you end the year, right? Your last game. The very next day starts a new cycle. So we've been on this cycle for about 5 weeks now, and we've been obviously upticking our attention to recruitment of mid-year transfers. So right now it's mid-year time, and school starts Monday.
Okay.
And lo and behold, we learned that the Division One portal about a month and a half ago was going to open on January 2nd. So if we're doing some math here, the portal opened on Friday after New Year's. Today, when we did this interview, it is Wednesday. And man, we're talking 6 days right now that we've been at it pretty heavily, trying to find the latest and greatest and the next stars for Minnesota State Mankato, right? There are 5,000 plus into this Division One portal window for the sport of football. So it is overwhelming. We have been at it pretty heavily. My staff has been working really hard. They've been out on the road. They've been doing things to try and solicit, entice, encourage people to help fill our voids, right? We're just not recruiting a whole bunch of Division One guys. We're recruiting our needs, and we still have to stay within our scholarship budget, within the 36 equivalencies, but at the same time trying to address the 18 seniors who have moved their tassel across their cap or have moved on, or maybe they're finishing school this spring. But we have 18 seniors from last fall's 2025 team. They did create some voids that we feel we need some depth. We do have up and coming players, but you also need to be too deep across the board if you want to compete for regional championships, which we've done the last 2 years.
In your experience, what is the key to getting a transfer that's going to be able to come in and actually stick? Because we've seen some of those D1 transfers not really have an impact, and then others, they've done a really great job at Minnesota State. So, what is it that you're really looking for in a transfer in recruit to Minnesota State?
Right. So our values are, families first, schools second, and football's third. And we want to look at our prospects in the same regard, right? We want great students, great people, great football players. We want that package, right? We want people to be the complete package. So being a really good student is really important. This past semester, we had almost 60 guys that had a 3.0 or higher, which is outstanding. You want that. But at the same time, you need to look at some tape, right? You need to look at video. Maybe they're went to camps. My coaches go out to all the camps and they see all the Midwest talent, which is really important. So we also are soliciting Midwest guys. So even if they go to a place like just a random school, Texas Tech, right? But they're from wherever, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, the Dakotas, you name it, right? They're from the upper Midwest, but they're in the portal. Those are people of interest right now, too. We want regional players who understand the Midwest, who have been around the Midwest, know what it's all like to play in cold weather in high school. There's not very many domes here in high schools in the Midwest. So they've been there, they've seen that, they've done that, but it also helps our fan base. People get to know people from the region, the area, and there's that law of attraction or gravity of attraction. A guy like Marcus Hansen comes back home from being down south and up north, right? He comes to Minnesota State. He wants to be a Maverick, and guess what? He lived 30, 35 minutes down the road. So that attracts a lot of support to our football program, our athletic department. But being the complete package is really, really important, and we're kind of up against it right now. The admissions window closed last Friday when the portal opened, but we have worked, to try and see if we can get a few exceptions for the spring semester. So a lot of wheels in motion right now. So we're trying to find the brightest, the best, and greatest people, and you name it. There's a lot that goes into it, but 5,000 people is a little overwhelming, so we've trimmed our focus down to the Midwest.
And how do you balance that loyalty with guys that have been on the team for a couple of years? And, there might be a player out there that's willing to come to Minnesota State, but, they might be taking the spot of a guy. Is what kind of goes into those conversations and the talks that you have with the coaching staff about some of those instances?
Yeah, so I'll sit down with my players 3 times a year. We'll talk about their family, we'll talk about their school, we'll talk about their football status, right? We do things like a totem pole. So, for example, you have 5 running backs, and you're either 1 or 5 or somewhere in between, right? We tell them how they stack at their position group. We talk about the number of years that they've been here. We talk about if they haven't seen the field or they haven't traveled and they're a redshirt sophomore, the chances are that they've been passed up in recruitment. We're not perfect. Sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes guys don't live up to our expectations. There's a lot of different things that go into transformation of pulling somebody from the portal to either fill a void what you have internally. For example, we had 3 guys enter the portal at semester. Last year we had 6. So every year is a little different. So you need to backfill some of those things. Last year, 3 guys in the 2 deep. This year, those 3 guys that departed ways with Minnesota State, we're not in the 2 deep. So you get a little bit of both, but it's dynamic. I have one chance in the spring of every year after spring football to right the ship, if you will, to get my budget in 100% alignment for the fall. And then once we start the fall, we're pretty locked in to who we have, what we expect them to do, and how well we expect them to do it. So springtime's another evaluation process for us. We do have some attrition, whether it's at semester or during the semester or maybe right before fall camp. Maybe somebody didn't show up, right? And then you're going into the season with what you have. And we did have some monies left over from the fall, so we're looking to try and reinvest and address our needs, right? My staff sometimes get confused wants and needs,
Yeah,
right? We
we
need
all do.
these positions,
Yep.
but they want this guy too, and it's like you gotta find a balance in all that stuff, and it's complicated, it's dynamic, and there's a lot that goes into it, but my staff has been working really hard at trying to address our needs.